I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to Southwest Magazine, on location in St. Stephen at the world's oldest basketball court. I'm joined today by Canada First Basketball Inc.'s Tom Liston and David Ganong to get a history of the world's oldest court and also find out what the next stages are for the experiential center and museum that will be located right here. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for coming.
Delighted.
Yeah.
I want to talk about first, before we get into what's next for this amazing facility, how did you discover that the world's oldest basketball court was located right here in St. Stephen? David, I'll start with you.
Well, it was a bit of a fluke, quite frankly. There was a fire in this building, and so when they fortunately they got it out. We have some evidence of the fire still around the corner from where we're sitting, but this floor, all of it was covered in carpet, and then it was used just for storage. So when they had to remove the carpet because it was full of smoke damage, and the people looked at it and said, "What have we got here? What is it? Let's find out." And so a group, including a local historian, spent, I'm going to suggest, several years in doing homework to try and understand what we had here. They understood then it was an old basketball court, but why was it, how old was it? And so ultimately, that research led them to the conclusion that it was the oldest existing court in the world. And it had been, basketball was played here 2 years after Naismith had invented the sport. And Simon Archibald, who was from Truro, Nova Scotia, was on the original team. And so he brought basketball to St. Stephen. The previous courts, according to the research that was done in those days, had disappeared. And in fact, the original court where Naismith was is now a McDonald's. So the group then came to the conclusion this was the oldest court, and they did some original studies to see what we could do to make it an important part of St. Stephen.
And I understand, Tom, that it was a YMCA, and there's a connection with that as well as to how you figured out it was the first basketball game played here in terms of dealing with the Courier to go through archives.
Yeah, and they did a tremendous amount of work with, thank goodness the St. Croix Courier had been around for so long and kept all those archives, because as Johnny LaRue, who's on our board, would say, all the facts back then were documented. If anything changed, it was in the Courier, right? No matter what happened, it was in the Courier. So it was how small or big it was in the local paper. So they were able to uncover through a lot of research that Lyman Archibald, who we named the Archie Golf Tournament after, was one of the first students of Dr. James Naismith, who invented the game in 1891. If you look at the first basketball game played in Springfield, Massachusetts, Lyman Archibald's on that team. He was one of the students, but he was also the first member of the team. And in 1893, the YMCA in St. Stephen recruited him as their athletic director, and he brought the game that was invented in Springfield to here, and the first international game was played on this very court. And he created, so all the students from Naismith really started to take basketball all over the world. So Paris, France, and Montreal, and Toronto, and Kansas, and they took the game and started to bring it to all YMCAs around the world. And it so happens that the first early game was played here, first international game, and this was a court that it was played on. So it was a great discovery. We were just actually, 4 of us went to Springfield College, where the game was invented, and the local curator, was just raving about the connection, because it was kind of lost. It was Dr. Naismith inventing the game. There was sort of this almost like lost period where people didn't really understand how the game grew, and we could connect the dots on how the game really started to accelerate and grow around the world. So it's an exciting discovery when we went down to Springfield.
Also adds another point of pride for Canada. We always say that we invented basketball. That's often contested.
Yeah.
But to say we have the oldest court now,
yes.
and also a team that's won the NBA,
yes.
adds to our tally of accomplishments in the field of basketball. Are you finding that this has built momentum in Canada towards?
Well, in basketball, and just around the world, actually, there's 2 billion plus people that are fans of the game and play the game around the world. So it's great. It's from all incomes, all countries around the world. There's just a Globe and Mail article that Dave sent me a couple of days ago talking about just how it's easy to play. It's kind of like soccer. You just need simple. It's not an expensive sport to get into, and that's why it's grown so aggressively around the world. And Canada basketball has never been at a better spot. The women's basketball team went from 12th in the world to 3rd in the world over the last decade or so, and now the men's team, as you saw this summer, qualified for the Olympics, which is a huge moment because we usually were ranked more like 12th because we never had the NBA players. They've all committed, and we just won bronze, beat the USA at an international tournament. So the momentum in Canada basketball has been phenomenal, and thankfully, one of the features of this building will be one of 3 nodes of the Canadian Basketball Hall of Fame. So the excitement around basketball in Canada has never been greater, with the Raptors, with Canada basketball doing well. And this project's probably, in a way, at the perfect time to really launch, because with all that momentum, it'll be easier for us to be successful in raising the money.
I think that the Weed the North campaign of the Raptors is, I've never seen a campaign in Canada be so beloved across our country and unite so many Canadians. When you look around this room, though, it's hard to believe, if you think of modern day basketball, that this is the first court. What are the next plans for what will be in here?
Well, it's not just going to be saving the court. It's going to be creating a basketball entertainment center of some size. So that what we've done is it's a non-profit group. We have to keep it in mind. We've been able to raise the money to buy this building and the building that was next to it. And we've torn that other building down because we need more space than just in this building in order to make a basketball entertainment center. And that has to be part of it. And as Tom already had mentioned, will be a node of the Canadian Basketball Hall of Fame as well. And so the combination of the old court and the Basketball Hall of Fame and the entertainment center is going to be the big drawing point. And it's going to have an enormous benefit to New Brunswick, not just to St. Stephen. I mean, as Tom just mentioned, basketball is one of the most important sports in the world today, and New England is a center of basketball. So that's kind of the thought process that we've been going through, and we've done some pretty considerable work now on what it's going to look like, et cetera. And Tom will take you through that in a second. But we've raised $1.1 million so far, almost completely from the private sector. So
almost all New Brunswickers, yeah.
Yeah, and from New Brunswick. Yeah. So all parts of the Irvings have made generous donations. We have a number of the McCains. We have 2 of the foundations from St. Andrews that you'd be very familiar with. And Tom himself
and Frank McKenna.
has made an incredible donation to us. And as has Frank McKenna and some other local people here, Kelly Shockbolt and others. So we've taken that money and to buy the buildings and to invest in what it's going to be like next. And we've got that information downstairs that you had a look at, and Tom can take you through what we're going to do.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. Part of the money is to hire Cambridge 7, which did the original design and architecture firm. And we were incredibly fortunate to work with Cambridge 7. Johnny LaRue helped make that connection. And Cambridge 7, if you go to the website and if you look up sports museums and Hall of Fames within the 49ers stadium and all these great things, they're the #1 in the world. Like, they're truly world class. And you've seen some of the renderings. It just looks absolutely beautiful. So obviously we're paying them, but they can choose their projects. And thankfully they just did a $25 million US reno in Springfield. That's the Naismith World Hall of Fame. and it's absolutely beautiful. And what they're really good at is making a lot of interactive displays where it's people that would come see it, but they would keep coming back because there's multiple interactive displays that change over time, and they do a really great job to make the experience such that you'd want to come back. Not just, hey, I saw a couple jerseys and whatever, but from people from 5 years old to 85, they would come in and really get a great experience from it. So we're really excited to have them on our team, and they've done a beautiful job with the first renderings, and we're really excited what it can bring to St. Stephen. And
that rooftop patio I have to comment on, because I think that would be a reason you would come back, not just more than a few times, but very frequently.
We are lucky for a few reasons. A, we have beautiful views especially from the rooftop that we'll add with the new section. And we're, a 2-minute walk from the Garcelon Center. So, part of this experience is not just coming into the World Court. The Hall of Fame will be here, there'll be interactive displays, but we also want to host tournaments and this become a catalyst and a spark for a lot of basketball activity in the community. Not just the court itself, but to bring tournaments down, to host the Garcelon Center, maybe try to bring the Raptors in town at some point. We have some big plans for all that.
Cambridge 7 obviously can pick and choose what projects they work on. Why do you think this one in particular is so meaningful to their portfolio?
Well, one, just maybe got lucky, but they just had finished a year and a bit ago the Naismith Museum in Springfield, not too far from where they are in Cambridge. And the connections and the leverage they have, I think, on that, and being 6.5 hours away, what's the drive now to St. Stephen to Boston? But it's not that far a drive. And New England, as you suggested, is a huge they're fanatics throughout New England. So we're close to New York, close to Boston, and they saw so much leverage in this opportunity, and they love the connection directly, including the Naismith Hall of Fame. We got to meet the CEO and the CFO of the Hall of Fame, and they were super supportive of the project, and we can probably borrow some of they have, I think, 45,000 artifacts or something stored. I think they have 1,500 on display and like 45,000 stored. So we can leverage that corridor and connection not being too far away, and we can leverage some of what they've done, and they did a beautiful job. They took us through the renovations, and it's just a fantastic reno. So we're very fortunate to have them as part of our team.
David, you and your family, your business are so woven into the fabric of St. Stephen, into the history of this town. When you look at this piece of history, but what it can do for the future of St. Stephen, and not just St. Stephen, truly all of New Brunswick, especially Southwest New Brunswick, what do you think it will do to the future generations of this community to have this in it?
Well, I think, and why I got involved with it, and others in the community, including Tom, who came along later, is I think it's an economic development tool. It will have a very significant benefit to particularly southern New Brunswick. I mean, as we've both pointed out, basketball is a really big deal. I think people are going to come here to both view the court, but also the active center that will be here. But also we're working not only with the Garcelon Center. We need to put another floor on top of what's there, and we're working on that right now. We got a donor to help us with that actually last week, so that's good news. And so I think it's the economic benefit, the benefit to the community, because basketball can be played at any age. And I think there's some opportunities for us to work with the youth in St. Stephen, but beyond that, there's concept on having 3-on-3 tournaments that would have the national championships would be in St. Stephen, where this building and this entertainment center is. So I think for me, this can make a very big difference to St. Stephen. It's got to be worth at least one hotel, if not two, and several restaurants. I mean, it's that kind of catalyst that's going to bring people, and it's going to help the economy. It's going to help employment, and it's going to make it a more sustainable community. And I think we could do that.
I love that it's right on the border. Like it's what, 30-second walk from the border, right? Like, so this is our gateway from all the U.S. tourism to come in, and it's created a lot of, people want to see it already. We've had emails from Boston, New York, everywhere come. And the other thing I love about it, it's New Brunswick, it's St. Stephen, but we were not concerned, but we're wondering if this would be a national gem. And the front page of the Globe and Mail, we were surprised, told us that this resonated nationally. And then we started, because the Globe and Mail article had the Archie and brought people in from Toronto and Los Angeles and Saskatchewan, and they fell in love with Charlotte County and New Brunswick, and a lot of them hadn't been there before. So we know that it's a draw, and they have been singing the praises on social media and throughout about how wonderful the project is, how wonderful Charlotte County is. And I think it's just going to be a massive draw for the province, and just create this catalyst for the town as well. And we're really excited about what that can happen.
I definitely want to talk about the Archie, named after Lyman Archibald, of course. You've done it for 2 years now, Tom. Each year growing. I can't wait for year 3. But one of the best ways about doing a fundraiser like that, as you mentioned, is bringing this spotlight to something that exists right here and bringing these huge sports names in to not only play in the tournament, but to also see this piece of history. What a great excuse to bring all these people to our part of the world. Was that part of the planning when you realized how many sports people you could get with these huge names and following talking about? I
wanted just to see how much it would resonate nationally, and with flying colors, people just fell in love, like I said, with the area, with the court. And when people walked in, you did some of these interviews, and people walked in and just, they got chills when they walked into it. They didn't know how they'd feel. They just, you see this old building, you don't know. And I found that every time we take someone through, it really clicks with people on how big and how amazing this project is and what an asset we have. The great thing about the Archie is we started with golf and a dinner, mainly because we have this beautiful golf course at the Algonquin, just down the road. But this year we want to expand it much more. We want to do more 3-on-3. Most of these people have come to the community, like Lisa Tomaitis, who coached Team Canada for 10 years. I think she's the best coach in all of Canada. She'll come early and mentor the community, right? So we really want to make this a youth engagement piece as well. So they will absolutely come every year, and they said, what can we do more? Right, you have us here for the weekend, why don't we come a little earlier and do some clinics and do some coaching mentorships and all that good stuff. So Diane Norman, who's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, grew up in Fredericton. She's joined our board recently. She's going to activate a 3-on-3 program with youth in this community and beyond. So we've been really, it became a catalyst for people to not only just to talk about it and amplify what we're doing here, but they actually want to become actively engaged. Paul Jones wants to become actively engaged and help us see this to fruition and help us where they can. Paul went to the Joe's Basketball by the Sea last year and just popped in and talked to all the kids there, and it was just wonderful, and he was glad to do it. So it's pretty heartwarming, the support we've gotten from all those people on promoting it to Canada basketball, who are firmly behind it, and beyond. It's been great. For people who haven't caught wind of the Archie yet, can you talk a little bit about some of the names that came this year and were the celebrities on each team? Sure, yeah. We had everybody from Diane Norman, who's in the Basketball Hall of Fame and proud New Brunswicker. We got Jack Armstrong this year, who's a big personality, and he couldn't have been better. I mean, we spent, the whole night at the Algonquin Hotel, and he talked to everybody, took pictures, did little videos for people, and what have you. Tony Lepage, who does Broadway by the Sea, and obviously a Broadway superstar, who happened I grew up with as well. He did Come From Away on Broadway and a number of others, and he's done some great things in the community. We had David Miles, a Juno Award winner, perform. Like, it's been a great catalyst to bring all these great people, and a lot of them we found out, like David Miles is a big hoop head, and he loves basketball, loved basketball growing up, so he was able to see the court, and now he's promoting it, becoming kind of a influencer and endorser of the project as well. So it's great. When they come here, they really get into the community and really relax and really have just a wonderful time, and that's on purpose. We try to keep it a bit casual and really just have a great time and really have everybody come to be, like I said, to amplify what's going on here and what we're doing, and update them on how much we've progressed over the last, from year to year, right? So. And I think one of the big benefits, Tom, that you've created out of the Archie is these famous people in basketball are going back
to their homes, a lot of them to Toronto, and is talking up the whole process of the court and the experience and yes, the golf.
Yes.
But I mean, it's really been a catalyst to get Toronto basketball, I guess I'll put it that way, understanding what's really going on here, and we need those people. So it's yep, they've been here, but they're carrying the message back to their world, and I think that's so important in what we're going to be working on.
It's been so great. We've had the GM of the Chicago Bulls, like, how do I come next year? I want to see the court. I want to participate. Like, we've had people like text us and want to participate, and we'll have to grow it a bit more next year maybe, just to invite these people. They're excited to come see what's going on here because they've heard it from their peers. People on Canada Basketball Board have been here and what have you. So it's been a really good catalyst, and I've been pleased because, again, I was a little worried maybe because we're in this corner of Canada, maybe people from Toronto wouldn't, but they are so proud and excited to talk about it. It's really heartwarming, yeah. I
think we followed Maestro Fresh West when he moved to New Brunswick. He said, I need to see the world's oldest court.
You know what? I'm glad you brought it up because the Archie's concept was Maestro's idea, frankly, and I just kind of jumped in with them to execute on that. But yeah, both of us have been to the Joe Carter Golf Classic in Toronto for years and saw what that did for the community and awareness and what have you. So we wanted to replicate some of that same thing here. So Maestro actually was, I call him the chief visionary officer of the Archie. He's the one that really became the catalyst to start the Archie in the first place, which is great. And he's been an awesome friend and endorser of everything here. So
now we just hope Drake's watching this episode, I'm hoping, and thinking about making a donation.
Maybe next year, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the timeline? I know there's big plans, but you have a timeline to put this all into effect.
Well, it's a bit of a moving target. I mean, what we're just about ready to do is to start our phase 2 fundraising, which is going to be the big piece, but we've been working on that for a year and a half to get everything lined up. So that's going to be an important part, and that's going to take a little bit of time. So I think Tom and I are both optimists, the way in which we run our lives too. So I think officially they're talking about 2028 to have it open. I mean, there's an awful lot of engineering. I mean, first off, we haven't torn this building apart because we need experts to tear it apart so we don't ruin what we've already got here, right? And it needs a lot of renovation. We've got another building that has to be built. So I think I would like to hope that we could push the envelope and get it open by 2027. Yeah. I think the engineers in our crowd are saying being more conservative than Tom.
We'll push on
that it would be another year. Yeah. So that's kind of the target that we're working on. And so the next stage, though, is to make sure that we've got the funds in order to complete this. And it is not an inexpensive project in the vision which Cambridge 7 put together and which we have accepted. So it's going to be an $18 million kick. So, and if you think of it that way, it's not quite as much as the Garrison Civic Center, but it's in the neighborhood. And so locals that are thinking about, well, what are you going to do with this court? Think about it as a major, major project that's going to have a big impact on our community.
And at the same time, what we'll do is, for example, we've already started raising money to put a floor on the Garcelon Center so we can host UNB or maybe Team Canada players or what have you to come to the community. So over that period, we want to have a lot of activity and use the court as a catalyst to have that activity. So when we launch the court, we have a lot of facilities in place and hopefully a hotel as well by the time we open. So we'll still do a lot of activity in the community and some youth programming along the way, including the Archie and some other things until we get it built and the doors open, but we're pretty excited for that.
If there is, let's say, a private donor or even an organization watching this and thinking about donating, what's the best way to get in touch?
Call David's cell phone number.
Or Tom.
No, the site has a lot of good information, but and a lot of our contacts there. We're actually just in the process of establishing an honorary cabinet for the campaign, and we've got some great people already. That I don't even have to pitch them. I said, will you do? And they say yes. It's just like before I even finish the sentence. So we're really excited. When people see everybody involved, I think we're going to get a lot of really world-class organizations and private donors to come to this project. They see what's happening in the community and the impact it's going to have. So we're very excited. But David and I are really leading that charge on raising that money. So either of us.
So if somebody that is listening to this story is interested in finding out more, it may be interested in helping us in some way, making a donation, then they can reach out to myself or to Tom as a starting point, and either we'll deal with it or we'll have somebody else in the group deal with it. We have just hired an administrative person to help us on the fundraising just Saturday.
A week ago, yeah.
We finalized it. So we're putting the infrastructure together to make it all come together. But we're absolutely interested in talking to anybody that has an interest in this project, and either Tom or I can make ourselves available.
We're sitting on this, what feels like a small court nowadays. There's a basket behind David, and it reminds you, oh right, basketball. That It started off in these very humble beginnings, and yet you are really shaping a new chapter of Canada's piece of the story of basketball history. Final moments of the show. What are your hopes and dreams for what this will be?
Well, first I would say, yes, it's a Canadian thing, but it's also the only in the world right now. So it does have a lot of significance both sides of the border and everywhere else in the world that plays basketball.
Yeah, no, I wanted this to be the catalyst for New Brunswick, putting New Brunswick on the map, right? We obviously have a long history in Canada with Naismith being a Canadian and taking the game, but the direct connection, we solved that or put that piece of the gap together of what happened kind of from that first basketball team, and then fast forward to the NBA. None of that middle history has been told, and we'll help tell that. But we want to also be a catalyst for the youth in the community, youth around New Brunswick, and drive a lot of economic and tourism dollars to Charlotte County and New Brunswick. So we're really excited about the potential. And everyone we've talked to have been so supportive and heartwarming and just really, how can we help? And I really think we're going to have tremendous success once this is built.
Well, thank you so much for meeting me here today, and I hope to be back on location with you again soon.
We'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thanks, Vicki.
My guests today have been Tom Liston and David Ganong from the world's oldest basketball court right here in St. Stephen. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.